What's good, Washington Commander fans? All right. So the Washington Commanders are still at it again. They are putting together a astounding structural coaching staff. Yes, they have. I said this in my other video that the Washington Commanders will not go away. They will not bow down. They will not be the same Commanders that we have seen in the last previous years. Dan Quinn came, and before I get to the new hires right now and everything like that, I'm going to go over something real quick. I know that we wanted Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, Bobby Slowick, Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, whoever. But I have to give Dan Quinn a whole lot of credit because the fact of the matter is that I believe Ben Johnson or Mike McDonald would have been able to put a staff together the way Dan Quinn is doing right now. I mean, he is literally focusing on the trenches of the offense and the defense. And he's bringing in guys that's very complex schemes that what's going to help his defensive plan. And then you have Cliff Kingsbury that's adding his talents, bringing guys in for his offensive side of the ball. I still say the one hire that they need on the offensive side of the ball is to hire Brian Hartline, who was the OC in Ohio State. You could bring him in as a wide receiver coach because we still need a wide receiver coach. We still need a running backs coach also. So that's what I feel. But so let me break it down for today's news that has transpired today. The Washington Commanders had went out and hired ex-Giants offensive line coach Bobby Johnson. Oh, Bobby Johnson. So Bobby Johnson, I believe he got fired this year. So he's he'd been all I think he was the O-line coach for last year and this year, but he got fired this year. Now some said this is a head scratcher for this team because of what the Giants offensive line looked like. Saying that the Giants gave up 85 sacks last year. It was the second most in history. Don't know why, don't know, but the Giants have moved on from Bobby Johnson and from Tom Magullo. Brian Daboll had announced during that time. Now, Johnson did follow Daboll from Buffalo. That's where he was. So if you think about it, Buffalo had a pretty decent offensive line during his time there. Now, don't know what may transpire with the Giants. They might not have great personnel. Excuse me. They might not have great personnel. They might not have great guys. They probably didn't draft well to fix the offensive line, just like the Commanders. Now, does it make sense? I don't know. We don't know what this is going to help. Maybe he learned something different. Who knows? And Washington Johnson will be reunited with his former Giants, Nick Gates. Nick Gates did play a little bit. He played well. He did play well. So I don't know. I don't know about that. that hire right there is kind of puzzling to me. I have to get more used to it, to understand it a little bit more, to wrap my head around it, to say, okay, well, yeah, um, it's cool, because I don't know what he's going to, who's going to be under Bobby Johnson. That's the thing. I don't know who's going to be under him. I don't know who's going to make him. I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, it's like I said, it's baffling. A lot of people don't understand it as well. They don't understand the hiring of this guy. Ooh, I ain't yawning so bad. Excuse me, guys. But I mean, Johnson, he knows in the league for 14 years. He's a veteran coach. Like I say, he was hired by the Giants in 2020, so he only been there 2 seasons. Now, in his first season with the Giants, he coached left tackle Andrew Thomas to a second team All Pro. So I mean, so that's not bad. That is not bad at all. Before his time in with the Giants, he was the offensive line coach for Buffalo for 3 seasons from 2019 to 2021. Before he worked on the Brian Dable. Like I say, he was the Bills offensive coordinator during that span. So before joining the Bills, Johnson held positions with Indianapolis in 2018 as assistant offensive line coach with the Oakland Raiders at that time from 2015 to 2017 as the tight ends coach. So he held multiple positions. So he does have that experience of not just the offensive line, but offensive coordinator and also as a tight ends coach. He was with the Detroit Lions at one point in time from 2013 to 14, where I mean, some of these places he really haven't been there long. If you look at it, I mean, he got a lot of experience, but and held different positions, but he wasn't with these teams too long, probably 1 or 2 years. So he also held positions with the Indianapolis Colts in 2018 as the offensive lines coach. He was with the Jackson Jaguars as the tight ends coach in 2012. I think that was around the time they had black voters and stuff. Their offensive line was good around that time, I do believe. And his first stint in Buffalo was 2010-2011 as assistant offensive line coach. So Johnson spent 15 years in the collegiate ranks with Akron and Miami, Ohio, and Indiana, and he is now entering his 15th season in the league. The new commander hire will be tasked with improving an offensive line that was ranked 20th overall by Pro Football Focus and will likely be blocking for a rookie quarterback in 2014. Our former Raiders of the Giants also hire former Raiders offensive line coach Cameron Basilio. That's who they should have hired, because the Giants, I mean, the Raiders offensive line wasn't bad. The Raiders offensive line was pretty decent. They had a great running game. I mean, the thing about it is that Washington if you're gonna hire a guy like this who has so much experience but hasn't, his stint with these teams hasn't been there for a while, that's kind of alarming. You know what I'm saying? Then you look at the statistical stats of the Giants this season, last season, where they gave up almost 85 sacks. Hell, that was almost half of what Sam Howell gave up, almost 50 something with our offensive line. I mean, so you got to think that you got to improve the offensive line. Is this a good hire? I don't know. It's a head scratcher for me. Maybe he could come in there and change some stuff. Maybe they gonna draft some guys that in the draft that they say, okay, we need this or we need to be, because you going to, I don't care if it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, or whoever you have back there quarterback. You still got to protect the line. The line is the first and foremost, because if you don't protect the line, your quarterback can't have success. And then guess what? Then people gonna be questioning the quarterback, say, well, he's a bust, he didn't do this. because even though Caleb Williams played with US, they have a great defense, and their offensive line wasn't that great either. I mean, Washington's defense looked like Colorado's defense this year, with Shedeur Sanders sacked almost around the same amount of time. I think the same amount of sacks that Sam Howell took. Anyway, Johnson is the new hire for the offensive line. Something that I'm just going to have to get used to, because the offensive line to me is the most important upgrade that they need right now. That's actually it's one of two positions that they need to address in the draft, along with the franchise quarterback. And there's something that I work on tomorrow about, most likely, talking about the draft with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Justin Fields, and what this all means between Chicago and the Commanders during the draft. So now moving on with the next hire. The Washington Commanders has hired veteran NFL assistant John Pagano. If you ever don't know who John Pagano is, he is the brother of Chuck Pagano, who was the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts when they had Andrew Luck over there. So, and we hired him as a senior defensive assistant. So that means he's going to work closely under Dan Quinn. So you got your defensive coordinator. Actually, he's going to work as a defensive assistant under Joe Whitt, because Joe Whitt is the defensive coordinator over there for the Commanders. So that makes more sense a little bit. So Joe Pagano, he is a former Charger and Raider defensive coordinator. He also is was a former Broncos assistant under Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is a very high, great defensive mind. And Chuck Pagano was a hot name out there, and somebody I didn't even recognize, because I literally was trying to figure out who was going to be the defensive coordinator. I know I brought out Wink Martindale, but I think he went back to Michigan to coach under there to be the defensive coordinator there. I think Greg Roman he was offense coordinator. He went to over there with Jim Harbaugh. So with some, if you look at the rundown, right now, Pagano is 56. You know what I'm saying? So he's right in that range, along with Dan Quinn and stuff like that. He's almost pushing 60. So you don't know how much more. I'll give him about 4 seasons, 3.5 to stay with us and stuff like that. So, and I almost got to address this again. I do like how Dan Quinn is mixing young and old together. And it's not so much of a big age gap. They just keeping it tight into that frame structure, because you got to think, you got some of the veterans that has NFL experience that can help out. Then you also have the young, innovative minds that's in their 30s and their 40s and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, Pagano, also, he was with the New Orleans Saints from 96 to 97. He only served 1 year as a defensive assistant. He was with the Colts. He's from 98 to 01. He was a defensive assistant there. Then he left with Chargers, they control coach. And he was with the Chargers in 2003 as assistant linebackers coach. So in 2002, he was a defensive assistant. Then in 2003, he moved to assistant linebackers coach. But then again, and his position changed again in 2004 with the Chargers, as he was an outside linebackers coach with these guys. And then from 2005 with the Chargers, so he's been with the Chargers for what, 1, 2, 3, 4, a good amount of years. So, and then he was a linebacker coach from 2005 to 2011, and then 2012, 2016, he was a defensive coordinator with them. So he has a lot, he wears a lot of hats. If you think about it, he wore a lot of hats. And then with the Raiders in 2017 to 2018 as assistant head coach and a defensive coordinator. Again, Pagano wore a lot of hats. So you bring in a well-rounded defensive guy on your squad, not just some flash out of the pan type of deal or type of guy. You bring in somebody that got a lot of experience. And then moving on, he from the Texans, he was there 2018, 2019 as a senior defensive assistant and outside linebackers coach. Then with the Denver Broncos from 2020 to 2021 as outside linebacker coach. Now, Pagano has a wealth of, like I say, he has a wealth of experience in coaching with multiple positions and a 2-time defensive coordinator. Per Albright and Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, Pagano has multiple opportunities, but he chose Washington and Quinn. Wonder why, but hey, like Dan Quinn said, people want to come to Washington. You get to see the feel good of us being wanted, we being sought after. Guys want to come there. This could never happen with Daniel Snyder at the helm. This could never happen, to be honest with you. So I like it from my standpoint to be able to sit here and see all these great coaches, like I said, young and old, coming in and building this franchise the way it's supposed to be. And now for my last hire of the evening, was not really last because I still got to run down some more other guys. Dan Quinn, per Tom Pelissero, the Commanders also hired former Raiders and Seahawks defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. And if you don't know Ken Norton Jr., you know his dad was a boxer. Ken Norton is 57 years old. Then again, see, in the 50 range. Now he's closer to 60 than most. You know what I'm saying? So he'll probably be the oldest coach on the team. Yeah, probably be the oldest coach on the team. Now, but he played in NFL for 13 years. His career ended in 2000. And he also, so it's 24 years he hasn't played the game. He spent his first 6 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys before signing with the San Francisco 49ers in 94, where he played the end of his career. So therefore you have it. So he played the first 6 years with the Dallas Cowboys, and then he finished his career. But I was more familiar with Ken Norton Jr. when he was with the 49ers anyway, just because I didn't recognize him as Dallas Cowboys, and you know why. But at the same time, Ken Norton was a beast. He was a beast. Norton was part of 3 Super Bowls at that time and was 3-time Pro Bowl selection, a 1-time first-team All-American, and a 1-time second-team All-Pro selection. Norton played in 191 games with 188 starts and finishing with 1,270 tackles. Norton began his coaching career with the USC Trojans in 2004 as a linebackers coach and won a national championship. So let me run down his little list of accomplishments. Also, Norton started out 2004 to 2008 as a linebackers coach, 2009 as assistant head coach and a linebackers coach. Seattle Seahawks 2010-2014 linebackers coach. On the Raiders 2015-2017, and I do believe, I don't know if Art Shell was with them at the time, might not. But he was a defensive coordinator with them. Then 2018 to 2020 21, he was a defense coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks, where he was there with Dan Quinn. So see the connection? Dan Quinn is reaching out to guys that has that connection, with each other. You know what I'm saying? He's not going out and getting somebody that's green, young, or somebody old that really don't got excuse me. That's like hiring Jack Del Rio back again and say, oh, well, we could give you another shot. And then in college, he was with the UCLA Bruins for 2022 and 2023. That's where he was because Chip Kelly just left from over there and took offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. And Norton just left there. Now UCLA is in the process of hiring a new head coach, but nevertheless, like I said, if you didn't know who Ken Norton is, I'm about to give it to you again. Ken Norton is the son of the former world championship boxer Ken Norton Sr. Played his collegiate ball at UCLA, and in addition of winning 3 Super Bowls as a player and 1 as assistant with the Seattle Seahawks. So, like I said, this could be no better way to start off your coaching tree. You know what I'm saying? You really you hiring both sides of the ball. You hiring certain positions that need more attention to, like the offensive line. And let me point that out again. Bringing Ken Norton in as a linebacker coach is going to help because now you get to address one of the most important positions on the defense. We address almost everything on there, from the defense interior, the defensive ends, around on the cornerback, the safety position, having some nickel guys, but you never truly address the linebacker situation on this team. And you going to see us now fulfill that position, most likely in free agency or in the NFL draft. But that position is the most sought after position that Washington should have had addressed years ago, along with the offensive line. Those 2 positions were really needed for us to be successful, and we didn't do it. The linebackers took a lot of pressure off the D line and the secondary because the secondary would be able to do a lot of different. You couldn't do a lot of exotic looks like you want to without having a true linebacker. The Cody Bartons of the world. It was sad that we lost Cole Holcomb. You know what I'm saying? Cole Holcomb was our guy, but he got away from us. But at the same time, we just had some bums, man. We didn't really have no great guy. Another familiar returning, and I think Ryan Kerrigan will have an excellent coaching career if he just stay at Washington and learn the coaching ropes, especially having somebody like a Ken Norton there, and you got a guy like Joe Witt there. They going to make you a better coach. You know what I'm saying? Because they have so much experience. So, this is second year being not a head coach, but a defensive coach. But Kerrigan will he has been coaching, so he was coaching the offensive line too. That's not his forte. I would rather him coach the defense, where he's more of that familiar with that. Kerrigan will serve as assistant linebackers coach and pass rush specialist in his new role. So that's good. Now he could help. He can help somebody like Ken Norton help develop linebackers, and that's what we need. We really need linebackers. We all know Ryan Kerrigan is one of the most familiar faces, one of the most lovable guys that we had on there. I'm gonna tell you, when we had him and we drafted Murphy, to me, they was better than Chase and Montez. That's just my opinion. Murphy was a beast. And you know, Murphy went to Buffalo and he showed out over there in Buffalo. We couldn't keep him. But Carrington was on the downside of his career, but Carrington still was a beast, man. Carrington finished, Carrington right now holds the franchise record in Washington for 95.5 sacks. With his first, he was a first-round pick out of Purdue in 2011, played 10 seasons in goal before finishing his career with the Philadelphia Eagles. Carrington joined the Commanders as a coach intern in 2022 when former head coach Ron Rivera fired offensive line coach Sam for the season, I think. And then Jeff Zargani, whatever his name is, was promoted to take his place, and Carrington later replaced him. In 2022, Carrington was named one of the 90 greatest players in franchise history. The Commanders have yet to name a new defensive line coach or linebacker coach, but hiring Joe Witt as a defensive coordinator, Quinn will also have heavily involved in Washington defense. So, me personally, by just reading all that, you got to think the Commanders defense is about to be ridiculous. They about to be some bullies on the block. You're going to have toughness. This team is going to have the most, they're going to have the testicular fortitude, if you don't know what that means. They're going to be some bullies on the block. They're going to be physical. They're going to bring that toughness, because Ron Rivera preached that last year. Oh, we're going to get tough. We want to be tougher. These guys are still softer than baby white. You know what I'm saying? But also, following Ben Stein on Twitter, he also said that the Commanders are keeping tight end coach Todd Strong, offensive line coaches Travell Wharton and Julio Castillo. Also, they are not expected to return. So these guys not expected to return. The tight end coach, the O-line coach Bobby Johnson. So that's another position. So they're not going to be retained. But they're keeping a lot of problems as a coach. He could get to see different things that how we run it or how I run it, and then he could pick up from there. Because eventually, I think Ryan Carrington is going to be a coach with the Commanders under Dan Quinn, until whatever Dan Quinn does. But nevertheless, Ryan Carrington got a great bright future as a coach right now. And he got a lot to learn. And what's the best way to learn defense than with Ken Norton and Dan Quinn? You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion on that. But nevertheless, the Washington Commanders are building. I want to see how things turn out in free agency. I think free agency is in March. I want to see what Commanders does in free agency, and I also want to see if they're going to see what they do with the draft. Because, like I said, I want JD5. I want JD5. I don't care about anything else, but I'll tackle that subject for another later date. But again, comment, like, subscribe if you like this video, and continue to support the channel. I'm on the road to 3,000, so it would be greatly appreciated. Until the next video, go Commander fans, LiveWire Sports Media, and I'm out.